Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Nicole and today I am going to be sharing with you a whole bunch of books from my shelves that are all over 800 pages long, or as we on BookTube like to call them, mammoths. So I am excited this year to be participating in March of the Mammoths, which is a month-long read-along in March where yeah, you just choose a book over 800 pages to read. So I'm going to share with you today the ones that I'm most anticipating maybe getting on my TBR in March. I by no means am going to read all of these in March because that is just humanly impossible in my mind. So I'm going to go through these books in alphabetical order by title. I have almost every letter in the alphabet. And for the couple that I don't, I still have some recommendations based on books that are on my TBR wish list. So maybe one day I'll own them. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So to start with, I'm going to share for the letter A, The Arabian Nights, Tales of 1001 Nights. And you can see that this is the Penguin Classics edition. This is volume 1. The translation of this is translated by Malcolm C. Lyons. This single volume is 960 pages long. For the letter B, I have Black Lamb and Gray Falcon. And sorry, that's a little overexposed. Hopefully I'll be able to fix that so you'll be able to see the actual writing on the front of the book, but it does say Black Lamb, Gray Fountain, and this is written by Rebecca West, and it's subtitled A Journey Through Yugoslavia. So this is a nonfiction work. It is 1,150 pages long, so it's a true chunker. Ooh, there's dust coming out of it. And no, the print in this is not particularly large. For C, I have Cecilia by Frances Burney. This is one of my favorite covers of all the books that I own. I think that dress is just beautiful, to be honest. Cecilia is 941 pages long. Then for letter D, I have here Don Quixote by Miguel Cervantes. If I got this book, it would be a reread for me. I've been wanting to read Don Quixote for a while, and this is the Edith Grossman translation. For various reasons, I wanted to read her translation of the book, especially given that it is a more modern language version of it, which she's gotten some critiques for, but I'm interested to see what I think compared to the translation that I read before. So if you're looking for a good read, you'd like to try a long classic, but you're sometimes put off by language, this might be a translation that would work for you. This edition of Don Quixote is 940 pages long. Clocking in at a whopping 934 pages is The Eighth Life by Nina Haratischwili. Oh, wow. It fell apart there, guys, but hopefully you can see her name there. I love this edition of the book. I think this cover is beautiful, but this book is gigantic. Not only is it long, but it is larger than trade paperback size, trust me. Anyway, I have been wanting to read this book for quite a while since I first heard it come out. Yeah, I don't know when this is going to get on my TBR, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. Next, I have Forever Amber by Kathleen Windsor at 972 pages. While this is technically longer than The Eighth Life, I don't know because it's a shorter book. I'll hold them up side by side so you can see. So, Eighth Life is definitely getting a few more words on each page. I feel like this is kind of like the original version of like Fingersmith or something like that. At 885 pages, I have The Garden of Seven Twilights. This is shorter than the last two, but just as tall as The Eighth Life. I tried reading the Decameron, I think it was last year, but I wasn't that interested in the stories they were telling. So I'm kind of excited to read something that's playing on that same trope, but maybe has stories that will pull me in more. Okay, so we come here to the first letter in the alphabet, which would be the letter H, that I do not actually own a book that is over 800 pages. So for that, I am going to go with one that is off of my to-buy list, and that would be The House of Government, A Saga of Russian Revolution. This is by Yuri Slezkine, and is 1,128 pages. This is a work of nonfiction. What got me interested in this work, even though it is a piece of nonfiction, is that it was compared to fiction works that I have either read or want to read that I'm very interested in. And those works would include War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy and Vasily Grossman's Life and Fate. So, given that I am a very big fan and very interested in Russian literature and like to know more about the history of Russia, this is basically just sounds like my type of nonfiction. So, that would be my choice for the letter H. Sorry if there was a slight angle change from the last scene, but we'll just keep going on. Next, I have for the letter I Know This Much Is True by Wally Lamb. This is another book that would be a reread for me. I read this a really long time ago. I want to say it was back when I was in high school, which thinking about this book now, I feel like was maybe kind of young to read it, but who knows? I Know This Much Is True is 897 pages long, and I also know what's true is that I really enjoyed this book the last time I read it. For the letter J, in theory, I'm finally going to read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. In fact, I think I'm supposed to be doing a buddy read in March with someone for this. This is by Susanna Clarke, who is also the author of the well-beloved Piranesi. Anyway, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, unlike Piranesi, is a very long book, and you might have gotten a glimpse. Yeah, there are pictures in here. Not many, though. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell comes in at 846 pages, so on the shorter end of some of the books that we've seen. Next, I have this lovely edition of Kristin Lavransdatter by Sigrid Undset. And Kristin Lavransdatter is 1,124 pages long, and I'm interested to read a classic from Norway. I should mention that even though I don't have every letter of the alphabet, for some of the letters of the alphabet, I did have multiple choices. So these are just some of the books on my shelf that are over 800 pages long. It is by no means all of them. For the letter L, I have Larry McMurtry's Lonesome Dove. This is a well-beloved Western classic. And this would also be a reread for me. I have also not read this book probably since high school. I just love long books and always have. Um, and I would say, honestly, if you've never tried a Western, as long as this book is, like, try it. It is so good. And if you like long books, give it a try, even if you don't think you like Westerns. Somehow it just works in here. And Lonesome Dove is 858 pages long. And what I am pretty sure is the longest book on this list, coming in at 1,359 pages, is The Mysteries of Paris by Eugene Sue. This is a more recent purchase for me. I did not expect to find this at a bookstore, but I found it at an amazing bookstore that literally just had 3 or 4 shelves of what I'm pretty sure were all the Penguin classics that are currently in print, including The Mysteries of Paris. So yeah, this was one of the few occasions where on vacation I put it in the suitcase and brought it home. In case you're extremely intimidated by this book, I can say this book was serialized and Penguin has printed it in its more serialized form. So it is told in basically shorter chapters and sections. So it's really something that is intended and was written and published in such a manner that you could read it over a long period of time. So this is a book that if I end up with this on my March TBR or at any point in the future, I will probably not attempt to read it all in 1 month very quickly. This is something that would hold up more well to reading like one chapter a week, sort of more similarly to how it would have originally been published. So if you're a fan of mysteries, you might want to consider picking up this chunky mammoth. Okay, next up I have not one, but 2 books, as in 2 volumes, and this is Nicholas Nickleby by Charles Dickens. I should also mention that one of the things that I tried to do with this list was to make sure that I had no author on here twice. So I didn't actually go back and check after selecting the books, but I think I achieved that, which is why you only see Charles Dickens on here once, because he could have probably been multiple letters in the alphabet, if not every single letter in the alphabet. Editions of Nicholas Nickleby combined come to just under 1,000 pages. Another book coming in at over 1,000 pages. This one is 1,291 pages, and that would be Once an Eagle by Anton Meyer. This is one that I also know that my son is very interested in reading, so maybe we'll somehow buddy read this? Doubtful. Coming in at just over 800 pages, I have Edward Bulwer Lytton's Paul Clifford. This is volume 1 of 2. I didn't bother pulling all the books off the shelf so I could get to volume 2. This is Paul Clifford. I picked an entire collection of Edward Bulwer Lytton's novels and romances earlier this year, and I'm really hoping to get one on my TBR in March, and in this case, it would be Paul Clifford. Gotta speed things up here because the allergies are kicking in. I can handle one book at a time, but when I get this close to all of them, it just goes downhill real fast. All right, next up for the letter Q, because yes, I actually have a book that starts with Q and is over 800 pages, and that would be Neil Stephenson's Quicksilver. Ooh. It sounds complicated and convoluted in its backstory in a very historical sense, and yeah, I'm here for it. So I can't wait to read this. Quicksilver is 916 pages long. Okay, almost done. Just a few more to go. Moving on to R, and that would be Roots by Alex Haley. I read this also probably in high school. I had a lot more time on my hands than I did in college. In college, they were giving me books to read. And it reminds me of, I think it's Homegoing had a very same thing by Yagasi, which was following a family from living in their tribe in Africa all the way through the generations that ended up in America. Roots goes even further than that. So if you liked that element of homegoing and you haven't read Roots and you like a good long story, you might want to try it. And it's on the smaller side, coming in at 888 pages. So see, it's not even over 1,000 pages. You can do it. For S, of course, I would put on there Stalingrad by Vasily Grossman. I almost got Life and Fate on my TBR last year, and then I realized that it was the second book in a series, and so I did at Christmas, I believe, pick up Stalingrad. So hopefully I'll be able to get to that this year. And this edition of Stalingrad comes to 1,011 pages. All right, as much as I would have liked the letter T to be this book right here, The Three Musketeers, turns out it's not over 800 pages long, so go read it. For T instead, I have gone with Taiko, and you can't quite see the author's name on there. It is Eiji Yoshikawa. I should mention that all of the authors' names, especially those whose names I have butchered, one, I apologize. Two, their names will be hopefully spelled correctly in the description box below. So what is this book about? Well, as it says on the cover, it's an epic novel of war and glory in feudal Japan. So if you're looking for a book that talks about feudal Japan and covers that time period in Japan and isn't Shogun, this might be the book for you. This lovely hardcover edition, don't let it fool you, seems to be like not too bad in size, but is actually written on Bible thin paper in teeny tiny print. So while they somehow managed to make this book 926 pages long, I'm pretty sure it's going to feel way longer than that. But I'm looking forward to it, and check out that artwork on the cover. Surprisingly, I did have a book for you, and that would be Underworld by Don DeLillo, but I did have to pull it off my unhaul cart. And this edition of Underworld may be the shortest book on this list at 827 pages long. For V, I have none other than Vanity Fair by William McPeace Thackeray. So after doing a tour de force of a few other countries in the world, we are back to England and their British Victorian literature. And Vanity Fair comes in even shorter than Underworld and is only 809 pages long. If only we could find you one that was exactly 800 pages long, then you would read one, right? The next book I have on here, I realized is a repeat author, but there's really nothing I can do about that and still pick a book off my shelf. I guess I could have gone to my wish list, but since I have a book, why buy another one? I mean, I could say why I'd buy another one, but I'm not going to in this case, because I do have one that works. And so this is another work by Eugene Sue, who apparently liked to write a lot. And that book is The Wandering Jew. This is complete and unabridged. It says in one volume. It was originally in two. It still kept the original page numbering, I guess, just so that I would know. Don't worry, it's only the slipcover for the hardback that is in this horrible condition. The actual book, look at that. Other than this part down here, is actually still really vibrantly blue. So I'm glad for this dust jacket, even though it's all right. Anyway, this is a old modern library edition of The Wandering Jew. What is this book about? I have no idea because it doesn't say on the slipcover. Yeah, so I did find inside the book that it is 1,350 pages long, so that does make it maybe 10 pages shorter than The Mysteries of Paris. So good for you, Eugene Sue. However, I have not been able to find any descriptions of this book that I could re-find. I did find it once, which was why I bought it. So I know it's something that I want to read, but I couldn't tell you what it's about. So if you find a description of the book and want to leave it in the comments, that would be great. I do not own a book for the letter X. However, I do have one that I could recommend, and that would be XX or 20. Is that what it's supposed to stand for? I've never heard anybody refer to it that way. Anyway, there'll be a picture of the cover of the book on the screen. This book is by Ryan Hughes. That is a book that you could get for X, and I believe it is over 992 pages long. For the letter Y, I do have a book, and that would be You Shall Not Kill. I think every time I do something related to the letter Y, this book comes up because it's the only book I have that begins with the letter Y. And this is by Julia Navarro. You Shall Not Kill is 982 pages long. And so obviously that brings us down to the letter Z, and I can't help you there. I don't even have any recommendations. So if you know a book that starts with the letter Z in its title and is over 800 pages long, leave a comment and share with all of us, because that would just be interesting. So that's it. Those are some of the books on my shelf that are over 800 pages long. So that's what I'll be reading, or at least one of the books I will potentially be reading in the month of March. Let me know what you're planning, if you're going to participate in March of the Mammoth, if they do that again, or if you're going to read a book over 800 pages regardless, because like me, maybe you just like really long books. So that's it for today. Have a great day. Happy reading.